episode of Moving Women Forward podcast. So today we have a special guest. I don't want to do the introductions, or actually, I don't want to keep you very much here without doing the introductions at this case. So we've got Navin Jaitly. So Navin, you were going to correct me if I'm wrong, but please do. You are a multi-award winning sales coach. You are a speaker, again, award-winning speaker, international best-selling author. You're going to tell us in a minute what is this best-selling about, and accredited high-performance coach and hypnotherapist. So please, without further ado, Navin, please give us your introductions in a full way, not as short as me. But yes, thank you again for being here today.
No, thank you for having us, Jonah. Very excited to share, have a conversation with you and share some of my thoughts. But yes, you are. You summarized me very well. So yeah, what I do is I provide sales coaching, and I provide it for founders and entrepreneurs. I also provide it for companies who have sales teams. See, the thing is, what I see the challenges, and if we stick, I know most of your audience are founders and entrepreneurs, so I'll speak in relation to them in particular, because Jonah, what I find is that a lot of business owners, founders, entrepreneurs are very passionate about what they do, and they're very good at what they do, right? They've got a great idea, they've got a great business, they've got a great baby, as we'd like to say, right? But to grow that baby and to grow that business, it takes more than just being passionate and being good at having a good product or being very good at what you do. If it's a service, it takes the ability to sell. And most founders haven't had that experience before. Okay, so what they find is that they're going for months, sometimes years, not fulfilling the business's potential, getting very frustrated, having to burn through cash, okay, and not making the income they want, or even the impact, because some are very driven by making an impact in the world. And if you're not selling your product or service, you're not going to make income, or you're not going to make impact. So what I do is I provide them with those skills. I provide them with the strategy. And just as importantly, I provide them with the mindset and emotional mastery so that they're able to sell more. And my background is I have been 20 years in sales and business development. And I know a lot of people don't like that word selling, I think especially here in the UK. But whether you like it or not, it's just a necessary thing. And, one thing I would say, we are always selling. If you are pitching for investment, you are selling. If you are talking to your team or you are trying to get them to buy into an idea, you are selling. If you are, speaking to customers, you are selling. Even sometimes, people are selling to their children the idea of doing their homework, right? So we are always doing different things in life. We are selling, right? But I think sometimes people have a taboo of that word. And one of the things that I really want people to do is find it's not a dirty word. It's actually something that's very necessary. And as long as you're doing it in a very authentic way, a very legitimate way, and you're not trying to, cheat people, it's actually something that's very good. So, but the thing is, it's easier said than done. And over the 20 years, I've built up a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, and a lot of experience. So for many years, for 15, 16 years, I worked in corporate. I worked for larger businesses, and I was selling their products and services into all types of companies, from SMEs all the way up to, the big, FTSE 500 companies of this world. So I gained a lot of experience and knowledge in that. But also I have a real passion for human development and personal development. So what I did a few years ago is I decided to actually leave my job, right? And I decided to then study as a performance coach, which I did. I've invested over 6 figures in my own personal development as well, the likes of NLP, lots of courses, programs. And I did a structured performance coaching qualification. It was equivalent of almost a degree. And the reason I did that is I thought, look, I know how to sell, okay, and I know how to teach, I know about that. But there's one thing knowing something, and there's another thing being able to coach and train people in it, right? You see that a lot of times in life, people are very good at something, but they might not be very good at getting other people to be good at it. So what I did is I wanted to do both. And I've got a passion for getting the best out of people. And I thought, look, what have I got this great knowledge to share? And it's selling and sales. And whether that's with entrepreneurs or founders who don't really have that background, or even when I go into companies with their sales teams, a surprising statistic is 48% of salespeople fail. So I don't mean they just don't hit target regularly, they fail and need replacing within 1 year. And 32% are inconsistent hitting their target, which, Jonah, what that means is 80% of salespeople who've been hired to do a sales job, these aren't people who are not wanting to do selling, this is their actual job, are struggling with sales. So if they are struggling, and that's why I go into companies and help those salespeople to make sure they don't, how have entrepreneurs and founders, I mean, they've got even less of a chance because they haven't even had any background in that. So that's what I do. I combine developing sales skills and strategy, but then the other part is the mindset and the emotional mastery. And I think that's what makes me a bit different as well, because you have mindset coaches out there and you have sales coaches, but I've amalgamated, I've combined the two, because a lot of the time why people don't sell is they're making excuses. They are avoiding doing sales related activity because deep down they might be scared of rejection or being exposed, or they don't really believe in their product or service enough. So when I work with my clients, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's in groups, whether I go in and do team coaching, one thing I work on, as well as developing skills and strategies, I work on what I call their inner game. And their inner game is their mindset, but it's also their emotional mastery. So if you think about it, if you are you're a founder and you are up against a competitor and you are pitching to a client who might be a corporate, for example, usually what goes through lots of founders' heads is something like, are we really good enough? We haven't had the experience of this contract before. Our competitors might be better. And the corporate you're selling to, in this example, might give you a tough time. They might even ask you to drop your prices. And what most people do will panic and do that because they don't really believe that they have the right to be there. But when you work on your mindset and you're able to manage your emotions in that situation, you will stay strong. And not only will probably, in this example I've just given you, keep your pricing where it is, you get the deal. So I use that combination to great effect. And that's why, my book here, I'll shamelessly plug it, Selling from the Inside Out. It's based on my philosophy, because what I believe in is you've got to get the inside right, as well as the outside. So the inside is what I call your inner game, your emotional mastery and mindset. Your outside is your communication, your strategy, the way you position, the questions you ask, your listening skills, etc., etc. So I know I gave a lot of information there. I hope that is digestible.
That's the fullest introduction I've had so far from my guests. So that's
Okay.
pretty complex and pretty. It's not complex, but it's like a full-on mastery, basically, that you have just shared with us. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Navin. So I'm gonna go back to a few things, keywords. You may know, you may or you may not. Even the audience know that I work with keywords. So I like to go to those keywords that I've picked up during your introduction.
Sure.
So, by the way, you're gonna be our special guest speaker at the networking event that we are hosting next Thursday, the 20th of November at 7 p.m. I'll pop the link and the details later after the live. But just to talk about, so going back to what you just said to us, right? So I'm sure you're gonna share more during the event. I'm sure you're gonna share more strategic ways of turning these leads or whatever conversations we are having, turning them into sales and building partnerships in a long term. Now, I want to go back a little bit about the word that you said. It's like, it's not negotiation, but you said sales, right? So you use the word sale even with kids or in family, or I don't know, homeworks or treats or whatever you do with kids, and also with clients and other corporate potential clients. Now, why do we have this feeling about sales that makes us feel like we are not comfortable? Sometimes we think we're not good enough, or sometimes we think, especially in the community, right? So this is from the experience and from what I hear from members. I'm not good enough. I'm struggling to sell. I'm starting to pitch myself. I've got my excitement, my good intentions. I don't know how to. So how can we overcome this obstacle?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and obviously it's a long answer. I'll give you the short version, and there's a lot of work and different things that need to be done. It's not an overnight fix. But I always say there's two things: you need competence and you need confidence, right? So, like anything in life, you need to get skilled at it, right? I mean, I like sport, so imagine a
What
football.
sport, Navin?
So, I like a few. I like them all, but I especially like
Tell us
football.
one, please, just one.
Football and cricket are
There
my
you go.
big sports, right? So if we take football, for example, you wouldn't just be able to go onto a football pitch, a professional footballer, and play really well. They have to have hours and hours of practice. They have to develop their skills. Okay. And it's the same with selling. There are skills involved in selling. I think a lot of people think that good salespeople are people who can talk a lot and who are just confident at talking. Actually, I don't want to cover too many points here. Research has shown that, and we've actually done some of this research, that in a sales conversation, when the person selling speaks more than the customer, the chances of the sale dramatically go down. Right?
That's
So,
bad news.
so
That's
selling,
something to stop there, to pause for a minute. Yes.
yeah. So the thing is, selling has got a range of skills. It's on lots of things. It's the types of questions you ask. It's how good you are at listening. It's the way you position something that makes the customer feel comfortable and is related to what their world. So you have to tailor your approach. So my point is, it takes skill. So the first thing, if you want to get better at selling, learn it. It's very simple. Just like if you want to get good at football, if you want to get at cooking, if you want to get good at writing, you have to learn skills and practice. The second thing is what I call the confidence side. And I think most people are a little bit wired to be self-doubtful, okay, especially when they haven't had evidence of success. So if we take a founder or business owner who's especially quite young in their journey, they might have not had enough wins under their belt to say yes, we everybody wants our product. Okay, so the other thing is there are mindset work and tools you can use that really help you to stay in your power. These are the sort of things we teach, okay, and really help you to become more confident, but not false confidence. I don't believe in this. Let's stand in front of the mirror and just say we are great and we're going to become great. No, it's much more than that. So you can work on your confidence, you can work on your competence, and then the final thing is, and this is so important, I think some cultures are better at selling. So I think, for example, American culture, much more happier to self-promote, talk about their products or services compared to, say, the British culture. So some of it's cultural, right? But the other thing I always say is this is where you really got to believe in the value of your product or service. Because if you think sales is pushing, you're never going to enjoy it. If you think sales is what it really is, it's serving. Because think about it, Yona, right? Take my example, a business owner is not getting the results they want. Okay, maybe they're struggling. Maybe they're staying awake at night because of that. Maybe they're thinking of quitting their business. Maybe it's having a personal effect on that home. All these things that can typically happen when you're not making the sales you want. I then believe if I help them, I'm serving them. And because I have that thought and energy, which is generally true, and I don't take on everyone, I only take on certain people because of that, I'm not thinking I'm pushing them. I'm not thinking I'm doing a bad thing. I'm thinking I'm helping them. So then I'm okay to go around doing sales. And so a lot of the time, you've got to really understand the value of your product and service. And rather than thinking, oh, like, should I message them again? I'm going to look pushy. Why don't you think of the other way around? If they don't work with you, they're not getting their problem solved. And one more statistic, I've got a few statistics always, but one more statistic, which is really interesting. There was a big piece of research done, and it was called in a book called The Jolt Effect, right? And in that book, it said that I believe something like 80% of the time, when a customer doesn't buy from you, they don't buy from anyone. So it's not like they go to someone else and get their problem fixed. Usually in 80% of occasions, they don't end up buying from anyone and they stay stuck in that problem or try to work it out themselves. So just think about that next time you're worried about sounding pushy, because the chances are that if they don't end up buying from you, they won't buy from anyone and they'll stay stuck in that problem. So I hope that answers the question.
I'm muting myself. Sorry, Navin. So a couple of things here, actually. Right. I want to go back to the culture. I want to go back because we talk about with members in the community or with guests in the podcast, and you will know on the audience in this case who is listening or who is going to watch the replay will understand that we are a multicultural environment. So the members come from different walks of life. Even the guests I've had on my podcast. So this culture thing, right? You mentioned is much. Is it? I don't know. What pattern do you see into this culture thing when we are some cultures are more prone to selling, some are more reluctant, some are more, I don't know, find it more interesting, or enjoy it better. What pattern have you noticed?
Yeah, look, I'm not a culture expert, but what I have noticed with, I mean, I'll take the American culture, say, versus the British culture. I think in American culture, from a very young age, they are much more encouraged to shout about their wins, to speak up, to talk about positive things they've done. British culture, the culture is you're humble. If you are talking about yourself and things that you've done well, the culture is people generally start looking at you in a bad way, thinking like, who does he think he is? Who does she think she is? So fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, the culture in UK is more, to keep things more to yourself and to not promote yourself. That's at a cultural level. Forget about selling, right? Even the British humor is quite self-deprecating. So British humor is you make fun of yourself. That's the humor, right? So that's different. Say American humor is much more in your face. Okay. So again, a cultural thing. So if your whole culture around you is about keeping your successes to yourself, not boasting, keeping your emotions in check, being a little bit humble with everything, of course, that's going to be a little bit difficult when you then sell, where you do have to talk confidently about yourself and your product, when you do have to go out there and maybe, approach people and interrupt them, right? Americans are much more happy with that. And even because the culture's like that, American people don't mind being sold to more because they're like, oh, this is the culture. Whereas you have to be a little bit more subtle in the UK. So one of the things you have to obviously bear in mind, I've also sold into Middle East, different culture there, right? I've sold in America and I've sold here, obviously Europe and the UK. And you do have to change your approach a bit because you can't just say it's my way or the highway. You have to change your approach. But it has to come from a base of what I said earlier, that you're confident about your product and service, you believe in it and you believe you're helping and serving people, and you have selling skills. And when you have that as your base, then you can slightly adjust to each culture to keep that respect level there, but still go out and sell.
Absolutely. Amazing. Navin, so I said there were two questions there. I think I forgot about the second one. Now it's coming, it came up in my mind, the second one. So it's about the mirror. Okay, we're not going to look at the mirror and say, okay, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, I'm very good at this, I'm even better than this, right? But do you think that an accountability system or accountability group is one of the ways to go if we are not staring at the mirror all day at least? So we can have some mirroring in terms of a human conversation with our accountability partners. We run an accountability group within our community, and it's very much working well. This is
Yeah,
this is mainly due to people sharing what they're doing, to sharing what the challenges are, and then sharing the wins or what
sure,
they've achieved so far. So do you
sure.
think that is the way? It's one of the ways.
Oh, I think 100%. I think whether you have a group or whether you have an individual, you need accountability, and not just accountability. We need tribes. As humans, we've evolved from tribes, and you need people who are like-minded and similar to you, so that you can bounce ideas off them, so you can ask their opinion, so you can share knowledge and wisdom, so that you can share wins, and you can get quite motivated about that. And accountability. I mean, look, I'm a coach, and I myself have a coach because he takes me to another level. Okay. And again, sometimes it's, I want to share an idea. Sometimes, and even though I do a lot of work on mindset and sales, I call it every level has a devil. I might go for something which I think, oh, this is tough. Somebody just to hold, like to give you that support, right? To remind you of what you've done. It's really important, right? So whether that's an individual person, whether it's a group, it's so, so powerful. I mean, probably lots of your listeners have listened to the book or read the book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And one of the chapters in there is have a mastermind. And a mastermind is basically a group of people that you counsel, that you have in your life to share ideas, to be accountable to support. Because you can go very far on your own, but it's always going to take a tribe to go even further. And so I think especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's even more important because, for example, when I used to work in corporate, I had a whole team, I had a company, I had departments, I had people I was working with, colleagues, right? When you're an entrepreneur, it becomes more lonely. So to have a community or at least somebody to share, bounce ideas, and who holds you accountable, who makes you say, Navin, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? It's really powerful. It's one of the most important things, in fact.
Amazing. So now in another one related, so linked with this accountability tribe. Do you think that helps with the results? So stay makes you grounded. So makes you stay committed to what you are wanting to achieve, and without going and jumping from one spot to the other.
Yeah, 100%. Whether you got a tribe, whether you got an individual coach, 100%. Think about it when you have a personal trainer in the gym. People who have a personal trainer, as long as a personal trainer is good, generally outperform those who don't. Okay, even to a certain degree, when you go to a gym class, you're going to do better because it's structured, there's support, and you've got people around you all doing the exercise, and you've got the trainer going, come on, and pushing you, right? It's the same with business, right? So if you've got that somebody who's holding you accountable, you're going to fulfill the promises you make, and you're going to be supported. I mean, we've all done it where sometimes, I'm taking the gym as an example. It's a cold January day. You look out the window, you think, I can't be bothered to go to the gym. But if you've got a personal trainer, or you've got a class or a tribe there, or an individual personal trainer supporting you, you're not going to want to let them down. It's going to probably force you to go. You'll do the workout and you'll be so happy with yourself. So it's the same in business.
So you basically move forward with whatever your goals are and whatever your plans are.
Yes, 100%.
Amazing. Right. So we are near the end time, but I have another question for you before
Sure.
we wrap up, if that's all right. So I want to hear from you one example. So can you share an example of how collaboration not only boosted your visibility or boosted your confidence in selling your products or services, but directly turned into a long-term relationship? Is it clear enough as a question?
So no. So
One example.
are you asking an example of when I collaborate with someone or when I coach someone?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
All right, cool. I'll start with a coaching example. So
Amazing.
one of my clients, she was a Reiki coach, and she had been selling to individuals, and she really wanted to get into the corporate space. Okay. And when she came, she really didn't believe that she could do it, and she didn't have a clue how to do it. She said, I don't have a clue. And she joined a program of mine, and I said, look, you can do this. And I've had a lot of experience in selling into large businesses. I know that. Cut a long story short, within a few months of working with me, we gave her not only the strategy of what she had to do, like what should she do on LinkedIn, how should she reach out to these corporates, what message should she be giving, when she's in a conversation with them, what should she be saying, also working on a mental game to believe she could do it, knowing her value, getting her to really understand how Reiki is going to be of a benefit. I'll give you a short version of the story. Within a few months, I think it was within 3 months of working with me, maybe even a little bit less, she landed a contract with Vodafone. Okay. And she was absolutely delighted. And now she's grown that contract. She works with a lot of Vodafone departments and stores, and she provides Reiki coaching to them. She has a special formula. So that's an example of where if you have strategy, if you have skills, and if you have mindset, you really can increase your sales. Absolutely. No worries whatsoever with that. In terms of collaboration, I've actually done quite a few collaborations with different coaches and partners before, and they've actually been very, very fruitful. And I've done joint workshops, and what usually happens there is we have then tapped into each other's communities. And often what I find is it's a bit like your mastermind again, okay? Because different people have different skills and different contacts, okay? So I've got a workshop coming up on the 1st of December at the London Chamber of Commerce, and I'm doing that in partnership with the president of the London Professional Speakers Association. She's
Amazing.
A very talented woman. She's amazing at what she does. And we are doing this joint workshop because she has a set of skills and I have a set of skills. And we're obviously tapping into each other's networks. And when we combine that into a one-day workshop, the value for the people who come goes 10 times higher. Because, I'm humble enough to know there are certain things that I'm not going to be as good as she is, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So I've done a lot of these collaborations in the past where I've worked with different coaches. They've had a different skill set to me, and we've been able to provide workshops or trainings to people. And also collaborations in the sense where I've worked with people like yourself who might have a community, and I've said, look, can you share what I do in your community? And I'm happy to do it the other way around. And again, what's happened is the people I've worked with, they've been delighted because they put me in front of their community. Their community have ended up, some of them have ended up working with me and have gone back to the person I partnered with and said, we had a really great experience. Thank you for making that happen. And it's the same happen with me. I've introduced people to my community. We vet who we introduce. They've done a really good job with whatever the service they're providing. And I'm a very big believer in building an ecosystem, because when you work in partnership, for example, this way we are working in a partnership. If, let's say, for example, somebody in your community wanted to work with me, then they are benefiting because they're increasing their sales. I'm serving another customer, which I like doing, and somebody within your community is benefiting, and vice versa. So what you're doing, you're creating an ecosystem. And I really believe that business should be about partnerships. It should be about ecosystem. I'm not one of those people who are greedy and think there's not enough customers out there, there's not enough business out there. I think if you work together, you actually get more business, more results, definitely. And you actually help more people. Absolutely. So I hope that answered your question.
You expand your growth, your network, your ideas, your whatever it is around the business. It answers my question very well. Thank you. So we've come to the promo space. As a guest, you're welcome to promote your book properly if you want to do that in a couple of minutes. But yes, you're welcome to do that now.
Sure. Well, actually, what I would really like to, I mentioned it a minute ago, is on the 1st of December at the London Chamber of Commerce, which is in London, very central, it's near 3 different stations. Myself and the president of the Professional Speakers Association of London, we are running a joint workshop, right, which is called Speak to Influence. And it's for people who are either founders, entrepreneurs, business people who want to get not just better at speaking, but speaking to influence. So whether that means they want to get on stages, in-person stages, virtual stages, speaking on webinars, okay, speaking on calls, also getting better at influencing when they're having sales calls. They might be having a call with a customer, and how do they get to speak with more power, confidence, selling skills so that they can win more business? Or if they might be speaking to their teams and they want to influence their teams better. So people who within their business know that they have to speak in different situations and want to become more powerful speakers and more influential speakers so that they can grow their business, so that they can grow their sales, so they can grow their influence and their impact. The great thing about it, it's from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's a one-day workshop, and it's very practical and hands-on. This isn't just theory and get you motivated. This is giving you actual tools, whoever attends, to go away and they can straight away start using it. And it's a one-off. Me and her haven't done this before. I mean, she's a top in her field. See, I'm very good in my field. So the fact we're coming together, I think that's giving a different experience for those who attend. And there'll be other people in the room. So people get to network and spend a whole day with like-minded people who might be their customers or future business partners. So anyone interested, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn as Navin Jaitly, NavinJaitly. I think they've got my name up. Navin Jaitly, sales coach. Connect with me and I can send the details. Otherwise, it's over the internet. It's on Eventbrite. It's called Speak to Influence. It's on the 1st of December at the London Chamber of Commerce. And again, if next week anyone's around, come to our talk, because I want to share even more wisdom and I can give some more details then.
I'm looking forward to the talk on the 20th of November, on Thursday next week. Yes, amazing. Navin, if you can share the link to your event as well in the thread, that would be amazing. So everybody can have a look, and obviously they can come back to you in DM or comment on the post or whatever is more suitable to them. Right. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I look forward to see everybody next Monday. So we had an extra episode today, but next Monday is another episode with another super guest. I don't want to reveal very much because you're going to see it in the event tab, but please do that. Go on LinkedIn and check out our event lineup. Amazing. Thank you so much, and see you next week. Bye, Navin. I'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.